Very last minute, I got the chicken pox. And my mom wasn't here, so I had to, take care of myself. So that's why I put so much effort into the show, and it was such a wonderful gesture, I guess, so I decided to do it anyway and call it a tribute to motherhood. So I'm so glad you guys came, because it's going to be really wonderful. So, to start, I'm just going to read a couple of Maharishi quotes about mothers. The first is from the commentary on chapter 1, verse 25 of the Gita. It says, Lord Krishna addresses Arjuna as Partha, the son of Pritha. With this expression, he reminds Arjuna of his mother, and thereby creates a warm wave of love in his heart, the warmth of love that connects son and mother. It is this tender bond of love that develops into all family and social relationships that maintains a family, a society, a nation, and a world. The next quote is from commentary on chapter 1, verse 41 of the Gita. A mother's life is the expression of the creative power of nature. Creative intelligence has to be pure in order to be effective. Impurity brings ineffectiveness, and when ineffectiveness increases, destruction is the result. For the creation of more effective people, the purity of the mother's life is of great concern. So those are just a couple quotes to get us in the mood, and now we're going to start. So, the first song is The Sweetest Gift by Judy Martin, that's me by the way, and Jennie. would like to introduce a very, very special guest. Her name is Dvora Adler. She writes articles in the Business and Fairfield newsletter about mothers. They're wonderful articles, so you should check them out. She's also just completed her first book called Moms Come First. And she's going to speak to you now about loving and honoring ourselves as mothers. Dvora.
Can you hear me? Do I have to use the microphone? I was born projecting because of all my stuff, all three of them. Over here. Has anyone read my article? Yeah? Oh, wonderful. You know, I mainly came just to talk very briefly about parenting. And then if you have any questions, then you can ask me, and, you know, with my big enlightened opinions, you know, I can maybe say something. It's interesting because what I found out, I used to teach parenting in Los Angeles, and we used to have parenting classes all over LA. I mean, you know, all different kinds of cultures, all different kinds of backgrounds, and various socio-economic groups. So it didn't matter whether you were rich or you were poor or you were Hispanic or you were black, you know, or wherever you came from. What I found out in teaching all these mothers was that basically we had very similar situations no matter where we came from. We all worried about our kids. We all thought that we never did enough for them no matter what we did. You know, when I would teach parenting in Beverly Hills, what would happen is that these parents would have plenty of money. So the kids would have plenty of classes, but they still felt, you know, what more could I do? They'd still have guilt pangs. Can you believe that? Like everybody, every mother I know, whether she's Jewish or not, you know, has guilt pangs. It's just like, it's a process of motherhood. You're always thinking about your children. So after raising a big boy, who's 25 years old right now I have two other little kids, the realization I came to was that when mother honored herself, the book was actually written for me. When I honored myself, when I was true to my own nature, when I was the one that was evolving, when I was the one that was growing in more love, more patience, more understanding of myself, then parenting became a natural process. It wasn't something I had to study. I didn't have to do all the techniques. I mean, techniques are great, and you know, and I've got a million of them to give you. But the whole aspect is that when you're just in that state of self-referral, of enjoying yourself, of feeling good about yourself, then parenting becomes a natural extension of who you are. Then it's easy. You're doing exactly who you are and what you know. And then there aren't all these conflicts about what to do, what if. Now, moms pretty much know that if a situation comes up, let's say you have a little baby and the baby spills the milk or something happens, that your reaction to that situation is going to be very much based on how you feel. You can have a lot of techniques like, what would I always say? Oh, honey. It's like, oh, honey, you spilled the milk. Let's go get the thing and clean it up. You know, and that was always my reaction. But depending on how I felt inside, you know, I'd say, oh, again. Or, you know, I mean, my system would either go into some kind of movement or, you know, I would just go, oh, again, okay. That's crazy, you know, and I'd go into my routine. The thing that's very interesting is that children feel you. Doesn't matter what your technique is. The child always feels you. Oh, yeah, she's saying it very nicely, but, you know, mom's a little upset inside. So the relationship between mother and child, in the same way as relationship between husband and wife, the same thing as relationship with anybody, isn't so much what you do, but it's who you are and how you feel. So the first priority in being a good parent is just loving yourself. It sounds so easy, doesn't it? It's so easy to love your mother. So easy to love your child. I'm always thinking about my child, or I'm thinking about someone else. But the prerequisite of actually turning all that attention and all that love and all that honor that you so graciously, if you'll notice, give to everybody else, the turning that attention onto yourself is not so easy because we're so used to moving that attention always outward. I think that innately, because of who we are, and a lot of us are meditators, and we're used to, sitting quietly and experiencing a lot of love, that we understand that concept. But as mothers, it's not something that we always honor, because our attention is, what more can I do for my children? The rule of thumb in parenting that I've experienced for myself, and again, I wrote this book and write these articles really for me. It's like the best part of me. When I get frazzled, I turn to page 3, love mom. So what happens is that it's very important for us not only to realize, as mothers, not only to realize that concept, but to take that into our heart, and really do that. I was reading this, angel book. That's what mothers read. They read angel books, how to evolve, what to do for my children, what more can I do here and that. I was reading this angel book, and it was the foremost authority on angels. Only at NYU can I talk about this. Foremost authority on angels. And what she said there was really astounding. We always hear about, angels do good deeds, and that's how they evolve. They're always trying to help human beings and everybody, and so that's how they evolve. So what this I'm not an authority on angel, I'm just telling you what this little book said. What this little book said was, angels evolve through doing deeds. They're already aligned with the will of God. So an angel comes down, and how is he going to evolve? He evolves through doing, good deeds, through doing deeds for man. It's pretty astounding that we have these helpers. Then she said, the difference between the evolution of angels and the evolution of man is that man evolves through self-surrender, surrendering to the will of God, through the transcendence. So in man, how does he evolve? It's exactly what Maharishi said. He said, established in being, perform action. And in motherhood, it's a very similar kind of quality. It's like first we establish ourselves in our own program. I'm not just talking about doing a program. In our own program of our own love and our own satisfaction, and then we interact with our children. So the program is that we pay attention and adore ourselves. And on that basis, we can adore our children. And in a very natural way. In a very easy, natural way. Now, it's interesting because one of the things that we hear that Maharishi said was, the children are your program. Has anyone heard that? Children are your program. Well, he's right, but when he says children are your program, the way I interpret it in terms of myself is that it doesn't mean that you never go to program or do anything like that, but what it means is that you give your attention to your children. When something else is pressing or whatever, that you give your attention to your children. But it doesn't mean that you do it at the expense or at the sacrifice of yourself. You are your program, and you interact together with your children. So love and honoring yourself. And honoring yourself is the basis. When I talk about honoring yourself, it means paying attention to your needs, being aware of what you are, and knowing exactly, I'm bored, paying attention to what you are, and realizing what it is that you need, and setting that example for your children too. The essence of that, if I were to quote that as a rule, it's learning how to say no. It means loving yourself enough, honoring yourself enough, so that you can state your needs, state what you want. And by doing that, it's really interesting because we're a direct mirror to our children. You give yourself self-esteem. You show your children that you have needs and wants and desires and can take care of your body and take care of your system, and that's the exact same thing that you're showing your children. So your children also begin to realize what they need. They begin to discriminate. They begin to realize what they are. It's wonderful to be able to give and give and give, and if you can do it naturally without taxing yourself, without getting grumpy, without secretly getting irritated, then you should do that. But only if it's working. If it's inhibiting your joy, if it's stopping the flow of who you are and what you can give to your child, then you need to reevaluate your boundaries. And you need to set some limits for yourself so that your children can partake of that joy that you have for yourself. So loving yourself and honoring yourself is pretty much the basis of parenting. If you want to read the other books, it's great. If you want to go into a lot of techniques, it's perfect. But you'll be a perfect, you'll be a perfect parent. It sounds so hokey. If you just basically just move with your own nature. Mothers are natural mothers. How many of you feel that you intuitively know what to do with your kids? All your kids are different. Techniques are like, you have a different technique for each little kid. Everything is different. And what happens is that you intuitively begin to know what to do with your children. The trick is to trust yourself. You really begin to trust that intuition in you that's very knowledgeable. So you don't only trust that intuition about your children, you begin to trust and listen. First you listen, then you trust, and then you do that intuition about what you need, and then you take care of yourself. So that's kind of the basis of it. So it's not so much of what you do, it's very much of who you are on feeling level, who you are in general, in terms of how you interact with your children. Does anybody have a question? I know. I'm so perfect. No, does anybody have a question? Yes, Mom.
It's not exactly a question. I just wanted to verify what you're saying, but
A comment.
yes, a comment. One of the most powerful things I learned when I was pregnant was from Joseph Chilton Pierce, who was speaking in Michigan and made a comment about he had like 6 or 8 children or something like that, and he was really disturbed about how his kids were all turning out doing all the things he didn't want them to do. I mean, they were just like him. They would lose their tempers and they would do all this kind of thing. He was very confused about it until he finally realized, with the last one, as is usually the way, that the children did not respond to what he said. They responded to the 95% of him of what he was. And that's what he was really modeling, was what he was. And so you need to cultivate the 95% of you, because the 5% of what you say, they know that it's not true. They are listening to that. They're listening to the 95% of who you are. And so that's what we need to evolve.
That's right. And also, one of the basic things that moms need to remember if they're working with kids or they're working with anybody, it's real important to be honest. To be really honest with where you're at and what you're doing. To be honest, with if you're angry or not angry or if you're irritated. Kids can stand anything as long as there's some honesty involved. As long as you're telling them what's going on with you, you can go through it. You can go through divorce. I mean, I know. You can go through divorces. You can go through you can go through anything. If you're just honest with the situation that's going on with you instead of making up fairy tales. So that's one of the really, that's one of the main points of dealing with kids, is to be very honest with them and tell them the truth about your life, about where you're at, what's going on. These are all techniques, and and some other time, we'll go into that. But that's one of the basics, also. And another thing to keep in mind is that not to take things personally. Do you know what I mean by that? It's like, have you ever seen maybe a 2.5-year-old go up to you and he stands like this and he said, "I hate you. I'm really mad and I don't want to do this." No, I'm not. They get very strong and very set, and they get very upset with you sometimes. And the thing to remember is that this is a sweet little 3-year-old, or even if you're talking to a teenager, even if you're talking to a 15-year-old, it's just time to remember that he's just letting off steam, and that it's not a time for you to get personal. This isn't a personal situation. This is your kid, and he's a little uptight, And if it's a little kid, then you'd say, what would you say to him? You start arguing with him? Well, no, you shouldn't hate Mommy. Why would you hate? I am your mommy. Would you get into a big, shtick over it? Would you get into a big shtick over it? No, he wouldn't. He's a parent to them. No, you wouldn't get into a big shtick over it. What would you say? "Oh, so you're feeling bad today. I've got something great for you to do." You just pick him up. You find something else for him. Or you listen to him for a couple of minutes. "Look, I can see that you're really mad at me. You're really mad at your mom. Now, come on, I found, or it's time for dinner." It depends how old they are. It's very hard to do that to a 15-year-old, right? "Honey, it's time for dinner. Don't be mad at your mommy." So it just depends on the situation. But the thing here is we don't take this real personally.
Yeah, I'm a mother and grandmother.
A grandma?
Oh, yes.
You look pretty good for a grandma. for me to hear you.
Oh, I would say, you know, if they say, I hate you, you know, or whatever, that's okay. I've got enough love for both of us.
That's a wonderful reply. When the kid said, I hate you, she says, that's all right. I have enough love for both of us. Yeah, that's a wonderful answer. There's one example of my little boy wanted some ice cream. Must have been about 5 at the time. And I had this big bowl that was ready for him. There's this big bowl of ice cream. And so I said, you know, you can't have this until after dinner. So he looked at me, he got very upset, and he said, you know what? I wish you would go to heaven. And he didn't say the other thing because he never learned the other thing. He said, you know, I really wish you would go to heaven. You know, and to a mother, that's a very personal thing. You know, you want me to die? You want me to leave the world? You don't. You can get into a big shtick with this, you know. And so I asked him. I said, okay, so what's going to happen? I see you looking at your watch, so it's time to stop. He said. So I said to him, well, what's going to happen? What is going to happen if I leave? And so David said, well, my sister will take care of me, and she's only 6 years old. So, you know, he had it all worked out, but the situation worked out because it wasn't taken so seriously. So that's one of the main things that you need to look at. Is there anything else? Well, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay, so continuing on, we have David Serritt, who is a master at rewriting songs already written. He's going to sing for you now. Actually, the title in the program is wrong. It's not To Mom with Love, it's called Motherhood, right? Whatever.
I usually write songs for people's birthdays, and something said this was happening, so I thought I'd write a song. This. See what happens. What does my mother mean to me? The soul who let me come to be, someone who has raised me free, allowed my life to breathe. Her love is unconditional. She just wants you to live life well, a giving heart that overflows with kindness so divine. I looked at Mom from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow her life's so wide that none can say the depth of when and how. Each day she gave me birth and nourished me, showed me what I shouldn't see. The greatest mom I ever had is mine forevermore. And when I think of what I owe, the surge of love I have to show, and flowers cannot say enough for what she has in store. I've looked at Mom from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow her life's so wide that none can say the depth of when and how. Each day tonight we all remember her. Deep inside we feel love stir, for sacrifices, joy and pain that she has had through us. She bore it all without a word. Mother's love is so reserved, knows when to move and when to leave, to learn and go our way. I've looked at Mom from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow her life's so wide that none can say the depth of when and how. Each day
have Jennie Lee, who's going to do a reading from a book that she has called Models of Love. Jennie.
So this is an incredible book, kind of a new age guide to parenting, but it has some very beautiful things that helps you put things in perspective. And one of the most important things is a lot of what Dvora was saying is just in terms of the mother really realizing who she is and why she is and how incredibly precious she really is. And so here are a few points that I picked out. Just opened the book and found them, so it must be the right one. The Mother God is an infinite source of strength, compassion, understanding, love, and support for every human mother. We are all blessed with the gift of her presence if we choose to feel her. Her presence in our lives allows us to feel the tender child we really are. As mothers, the responsibility we feel towards our children can at times feel like a burden. If we take time in silence to feel the loving arms of our true mother, then we realize that we are her humble servant and that our children are really hers. Her wisdom is ever available as we seek to guide, nourish, and inspire our little ones. It helps to remind ourselves every day that to be a mother, to care for and guide one of God's precious children, is one of the highest ways to serve. Motherhood is one of the most valuable professions a woman can enter into. Motherhood can also be the least glamorous and least appreciated profession as well. Yet in the overall view of our entire life, there is no more noble use of our time and talents than to give to the world the gift of a loving, spiritually aware human being. Motherhood involves an immense training and initiation. Loving and guiding our children opens our heart to all the children of the earth. Serving our children brings us into the consciousness of the mother of the world. We have so much to be grateful for. We need to remember this each time we change a dirty diaper, mop up little mud tracks on the floor, or drive a carload of giggly teenagers to a party. Each time we serve with joy and gratitude, we are receiving 100-fold and coming a step closer to universal mother love. So cuddle your soft bundle and tuck your little ones close to your heart, and rest assured there is no more real spiritual path than motherhood. You are a highly privileged child of God to have been given such a blessing.
Thanks, Jennie. Okay, so now we have a mother and daughter team who are going to sing a cappella and dance to Me and My Shadow. Please welcome Rose and Hannah Higgins.
Me and my shadow strolling down the avenue. We climb the stairs, we never knock. There's nobody there, just me and my shadow strolling down the alley, strolling down the alley, strolling down the alley. No.
Fashion show. Okay, so I'm just going to read a couple poems by some published writers about mother and child. Actually, they're more about mother and daughter. No, there's one about one son. Okay, so this one is by Ellen Voigt. It is called Pastoral. Crouched in the yard, he brings his dirty hands up to his mouth. No, no, I say. Yuck, hurt. These are sounds he will recognize. I say them when he takes an orange, with its hidden seeds and allergenic juice. No, yuck, bad orange. Or reaming from his mouth a wad of bread, a lump of odorous cheese. The fire will hurt, the stick will break and stab in the heart. The reckless wheel, the cool, suggestive music of the pond. Overhead, summer spreads its blue scarf. A light wind bends the hollyhocks, birds, trees, everything the way I might have dreamed it. He stands in the grass, weighing a handful of berries and a handful of stones. This one is called Rite of Passage by Sharon Olds. As the guests arrive at my son's party, they gather in the living room. Short men in first grade, with smooth jaws and chins. Hands in pockets, they stand around jostling, jockeying for place. Small fights breaking out and calming. One says to another, "How old are you?" 6. "I'm 7, so..." They eye each other, seeing themselves tiny in the other's pupil. They clear their throats a lot, a room of small bankers. They fold their arms and frown. "I could beat you up," a 7 says to a 6. The dark cake, round and heavy as a turret, behind them on the table. My son, freckles like specks of nutmeg on his cheeks, chest narrow as the balsa keel of a modeled boat, long hands cool and thin as the day they guided him out of me, speaks up as a host for the sake of the group. "We could easily kill a 2-year-old, he says in a clear voice. The other men agree. They clear their throats like generals. They relax and then get down to playing war, celebrating my son's life. Okay, this one is called Hanging Fire by Adler Lord. "I am 14 and my skin has betrayed me. The boy I cannot live without still sucks his thumb in secret. How come my knees are always so ashy? What if I die before morning and Mom is in the bedroom with the door closed? I have to learn how to dance in time for the next party. My room is too small for me. Suppose I die before graduation. They will sing sad melodies, but finally tell the truth about me. There is nothing I want to do and too much that has to be done, and Mom is in the bedroom with the door closed. Nobody even stops to think about my side of it. I should have been on the math team. My marks were better than his. Why do I have to be the one wearing braces? I will have nothing to wear tomorrow. Will I live long enough to grow up? And Mom is in the bedroom with the door closed." That's it. Set something up real quick.
You want house?
Okay, so next we have a very, very special presentation by the Maharishi School first grade little ladies. They are going to put on a mommy fashion show. So I'm going to sit down and get out of the way. Okay, so our first mommy is Mommy at Home, and our model is Caitlin Allen. Thank you, Caitlin. Our next mommy is Mommy Doing Sports, and our model, Maria Divoky. Our next mommy is Mommy the Student, our model, Klonek. Okay, our next mommy is Mommy on the Town. Our model is Katherine Mitchell. Our next mommy is Mommy at Play, and we have our model Busch. Our next mommy is Mommy the Teacher, and we have our model Alison. Our next mommy is Mommy the Artist, and we have Elsa Backstrom. Our next mommy, we all know. Next mommy is Mommy the Shopper. Our model is Sara Posner. Our next mommy should be real familiar to the audience. Mommy in the Dome. DeAngelis. Our last mommy is the most important mommy of all. Mommy Nature, Freeda Brook. Now our little mommies here are very tired. They've had a rough day. So we're going to say goodbye to them one by one. So say goodbye to our mommy at home, Caitlin Allen.
She's a baby.
Our mommy doing sports has had a rough day too. So it's time to say goodbye to Maria Divoky.
I'm off to the court.
Mommy, the student, has had a long day too. So let's say goodbye to Klonek.
You gotta study.
Mommy on the town isn't tired at all. She's just getting started. Let's say goodbye to Katherine Mitchell.
I'm party to go to.
Mommy at Play is a bit saddled out herself. Let's say goodbye to Busch.
Gotta settle the horses.
Mommy, the teacher's also had a long day. Let's say goodbye to Alison.
Got a class to teach.
Oh.
Mommy, the artist Posner.
Not till you drop.
Well, we all know what Mommy in the Dome's about to do. Let's say goodbye to Monica DeAngelis.
Time to chin cents.
Mommy Nature has a little message for all the little mommies. Let's say goodbye to Freeda Brook.
Time for all little mommies to go to bed.
Let's give them a round of Okay, so next we have another duet with myself, Judy Martin, and Jennie Lee. Oh, Wind Beneath My Wings. By the way, this is dedicated to my mother, which is the whole reason I did this show, because I missed her so bad and she wasn't around. She's kind of one of those moms, you know, who encourages you to be the best that you can be and kind of steps out of the way so that you can kind of get in front of her, you know? Great lady. Must have been cold there in my shadow. Never had sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine. That's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? Everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than any eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. I have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. Of course I know it. I would be nothing without you. Do you ever know that you're my hero? Everything I would like to be. I can fly higher mom wrote together, and then his mom wrote for him, and he wrote for his mom. I'll let him tell you all about it. Here's Paul.
Okay. Well, hi. So I dug these up. My mother's a really good poet. She's my inspiration to write. She is really good. Her poems such as People are black, white, yellow, red. We paint the colors with the brushes of our tongue. Some colors are harsh and pictures empty. The winter snow. The winter snow fell reverently as it talked in hushed silence and whispered loud. Another poem called An Epitaph. A pine cone fell to earth one day and lay unnoticed by the throng. Later on, as I walked by, I saw, with branches pointing to the sky, a little pine tree growing. She once told me, I'd like to do anything for you. I'd like to breathe for you if I could. Evidently she forgot that at one time she did breathe for me. This is a poem by my mother about her mother. She mentions a childhood classmate of hers, Sidney Berg. Sibberg was his nickname. It's called When I Was Little. When I was little, I had a little dress. Blue and white it was, made by the county relief. I wore my dress, clean and ironed, as I sat at my desk in Kiganza School, eating a peanut butter sandwich from my lavender-painted Caro syrup dinner pail. I longed for Sibberg's grapes, but they were not for me. Oh, mother, where are you to fix my hot milk soup and ease my fevered brow? This I wrote about her when she was a child, a photograph of her as a child. And the title is The Eyes of a Poet. Little Ruthie, you stand so tall in the wedding photo of a relative. You stand and look so very far, with eyes so open, even at 5. You dominate the photo of the group of the American and Norwegian relatives. Those eyes see beyond your years. Those eyes that now see God in the arrival of a sparrow at your breadcrumbs. Those eyes of a poet that saw beyond, that see more, that have gazed upon a bit of eternity and always will. This poem is about a photograph of me when I stepped out of kindergarten for the first day with my older sister. You have to see this photograph. Here's the older sister. Okay. Here's me. Kindergarten, hey, get over. That kind of tasty. Okay. But I had these little rolled up pants, and she just gets tears whenever she sees it. So she wrote this, Polly Boy, my name. So this Paul stuff, no, Polly Boy. Okay. My little Polly. I see little Polly Boy holding Sister Mary's hand. Somehow, he was wearing a little overall with turned up pantaloons. It almost made me cry, but he was unaware of my negligence. And he says, every time I see him, Mother, you gave me life, the most important thing. I was in Hoboth Beach, Delaware when I was about 21. I was working in a head shop. I didn't do drugs, but I was working in a head shop. Every Tuesday, I got a phone call from my mother, who worked at a company that let her use the 800 number to make phone calls. Finally, one day, my boss, who was my age, but he was still my boss's son, my boss, said, I feel like, you're away from home, you'd think maybe you wouldn't have to, talk to your mother every week. You're like 19, I hate, And I went, you mean, no, you got it all wrong. It's not for me. It's for her. So I wrote this for mother. She's always concerned. This is it. This is my mother. You gotta understand this. My mother asked me when I get to the mine, do you have any friends? Do people like you, Does anyone do you get along with people? Anyway, Mom, I have lots of friends. Anyway, it's called For Mother. The rain pours off the metal corrugated roof of the old barn, unexpectedly and yet obvious in hundreds of streams. The shiny blue-bodied bug crawling on a light blue sheet, its torso flexible, unlike anything I've ever seen. The sound, and not the flight, of a crowd of birds departing overhead. All this is so that Ruth will know that all is well. When I was young, my mother, just to make dysfunctional family official, went to the mental hospital now and then. And, now and then she'd be gone. And when I was 11, I went to visit her, and since I wasn't 12, I had to sit outside the ward. And that meant I could sit in the doorway where there was a screen. And I had to sit outside because I wasn't 12. If you were 12, you could go and sit there with all the crazy people. When you were 11, you had to sit outside and just kind of look in at the crazy people. So my mother had to sit on the other side of the screen, and I couldn't come in. Okay. And I just thought that was a little, over bureaucratic, But my mother had her interpretation of what happened, and I had my interpretation. So she wrote a poem about that experience of me being outside the screen. And I wrote a poem about that experience of me being outside the screen. We have totally different versions. But then I wrote a third poem about the screen itself. Okay? So I'm going to read those poems, and that's it for tonight. I just want to read these three poems. The first poem is by my mother, and it's called The Screen Inside. Paul, my little son, came to the Independence State Hospital to see his mother. It broke his mother's heart when he could not be allowed to be with her. He had to sit outside a screen and talk. The tears fell from his eyes, and I tried to keep from showing my feelings. Outside the screen, my poem. I don't remember crying at all. I remember gray paint and the long drive to Independence and back. I remember trying to be strong for you, though I never understood the separation. The screen itself. They rest, these atoms, in shiny steel, and though painted with the dullest of institutional grays, they never know it. They started in the earth. They went through the foundry. They were extruded into wire, and now this half-century, they are a wire mesh screen in the door on Ward C. That is until this door too is discarded, left outside the building, or buried and returned to rust, to dust, to pure mineral form again, only to come up as iron in a plant, red color in the ground, or just part of the weightiness that swings this world round and round. Yes, it's true that the screen itself is changing, and that someday, in the space that divided that which is you from that which is me, there will be nothing but an open window.
next, Jennie and I are going to do a small scene from the musical The Music Man. And just to give you a little background on this one scene, I'm Marion the librarian, and real kind of traditional and, you know, have real high standards about men. And there's this guy who keeps pursuing me, and I come home to tell my mom, who doesn't think I should be so picky. Mama, a man with a suitcase has been following me all over town.
Oh, who?
I never saw him before.
Did he say anything?
He tried.
Did you say anything?
No, Mama, of course not.
You should have found out what the gentleman wanted.
I know what the gentleman wanted.
What, dear?
You'll find it in Balzac.
Excuse me for living, but I never read it.
Neither has anyone else in this town.
There you go again with that same old comment about the low mentality of River City people and taking it all too much to heart.
But, Mama, as long as the Madison Public Library was entrusted to me for the purpose of improving River City's cultural level, I can't help my concern if the ladies of River City keep ignoring all my counsel and advice.
But, darling, you have a husband and you've got none. Why should she take advice from you? Even if you can't quote Balzac and Shakespeare and all those other highfalutin Greeks.
Mama, if you don't mind my saying so, you have a bad habit of changing every subject.
No, I haven't changed the subject. I was talking about that stranger.
What stranger?
The suitcase, who might be your very last chance.
Mama, do you think that I'd allow a common masher now, really? Mama, I have my standards where men are concerned, and I have no intention.
I know all about your standards, and if you don't mind my saying so, there's not a man alive who could hope to measure up to the blended Paul Bunyan, St. Patrick, Noah Webster, concocted for yourself, and for emotion and education, your outer stubbornness, and your library full of books. I've been staring at this chair all night. I'm going to sit in it. So this is a little something I wrote for my son. Years and years ago, when we had time for such things. Since your conception, I have begun to learn what it truly means to give. My lesson began as I gave a part of my own flesh and blood to bring you into existence, and then gave you my body in which to grow. 9 months later, I gave birth to you, and then the giving really started. I have given you clean diapers and walks around the block. I have given you nourishment with the milk that flows from my body. I have given you all of my love, attention, and waking hours. Just when I begin to feel that my whole life is consumed in giving to you, I am reminded that the giving is not one-sided, that for everything I give you, you give me far more in return. I may have given you my body in which to grow, but you gave me the thrill of feeling another life flourish and thrive inside of me. I gave birth to you, but you gave me a reason to bless my womanhood, to cherish my fertility, and to rejoice in my ability to bear children. For all the hours of attention I have given you, what have you given me in return? Only smiles as radiant as the sunrise, and the warmth of your body next to mine as you eat and sleep. I had forgotten how rain sounds as it splashes on the sidewalk, how intricate a tree is, and how amazing the flight of a bird. Then you came along and gave me a reason to see and hear with my soul, and not just my eyes and ears. You have given me a reason to correct my bad habits. I want you to respect me and learn by the good examples that I set for you. Most of all, you have given me love, a kind of love not made in this world.
It is a love that sets no limits, makes no demands that I be anyone other than who I am, and accepts me with all my thoughts. I have learned to give of myself as I have never given before. But that should not come as a surprise to anyone. After all, we usually learn best when we have a good example to follow. And when it comes to giving, I have had the best example available. You.
Okay. Thank you. So now we have a very special duet. Pianist Juan. How to say your last name?
Barrios.
And he will be accompanied by Victor on the piano.
Okay, first of all, I'm gonna play alone. One piece that reminds me of my mother very much, because she hated it all the time. I'm just kidding. No, this one makes her cry always when I'm playing, and she's like this always. No, she loves this song very much, and I hope you will enjoy it. I hope.
Victor's going to do one too.
Hi. Now I'm gonna sing a song accompanied with Juan. And even if this song is not related with mothers, but we make it we've been practicing this song with all our love to dedicate it to all mothers here. And this is a very beautiful, beautiful song that I have inside of me. And the title of this song is My Way. My Way. So I remember I learned this song when I was 5 years old. But when I was 6, I forgot it. So that's why we're going to perform this song in Spanish. We don't have the lyric in English. You have to excuse me because I don't know the lyric in Spanish either. So for all the mothers here, with all our love, My Way. Sorry. Sorry, it was the wrong paper. Sorry. El final se acerca ya, no esperaré serenamente. Ya ves,
not least, we have our wonderful finale. This song, Somewhere Out There, is going to be sung by DeAngelis and Jennie Lee, and it's dedicated to all those moms way out where who can't be with us. Jennie and Dick.
more.